Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, Gary requested BLTs. So here is what I'm going to use to make these. I've got some just regular sliced bread, bacon. I have this in my freezer. I just pulled it out and allowed it to thaw. I have a tomato I'm going to slice up, some lettuce, mayonnaise, and then I like to add a little bit of barbecue sauce to our BLTs. I like to lay out my bacon on a baking sheet. I put it into a cold oven and then I turn the oven on to 400 degrees and I bake the bacon for about 20 minutes or so. Just really depends on the thickness of your bacon and how you like your bacon cooked. If you like it a little more limp or a little more crispy. Sometimes I'll put the bacon on a wire rack. Sometimes I put it just on the pan like this. But when it comes out of the oven, I do like to drain it on paper towels. Gary likes his BLTs on toasted bread, so I just popped 2 slices in the toaster for him. For me, I like it on untoasted bread. So I'm going to add a little bit of mayonnaise, and Gary likes more mayonnaise than I do. I like just barely enough mayonnaise to just kind of moisten the bread. I don't like a lot at all. Now I'm going to add a little bit of barbecue sauce. That might seem a little weird, but I love the little touch of sweetness and smokiness that the barbecue sauce adds to the BLT. So if you've never tried it, give it a try. Once I've got that spread out, I'm going to add some lettuce. And again, Gary likes lettuce on his. Every once in a while, I'll eat lettuce on my BLT, but otherwise, I honestly just usually eat a BT, a bacon tomato sandwich. Speaking of tomato, I'm going to add a slice of tomato, and I'm going to season that tomato with some salt and pepper. And then I'm going to add my bacon, just add as much or as little as what you like. And then that's it. That's a BLT. Now, you can add avocado to this. You can add cheese. You can add bean sprouts, whatever you like. Now, I was just going to do some quick chips with this, but I had some pulled pork, some tater tots, and some of this Fritos cheddar cheese dip, all that needed to be used up. So I thought, hey, I'll do some pulled pork nacho tacho type deal. So I just took the tater tots, placed them on a baking sheet, sprinkled them with some of the Steak and Shake seasoning, and then I baked them in the oven according to the package instructions. And here's what they look like when they came out of the oven. I realized at this point that that cheese dip had not been opened and I didn't want to open it just for that. So I decided to just add some shredded cheese that I had on hand. Next, I'm going to add that pulled pork. I just warmed it up a little bit in the microwave. And then I had a couple slices of cooked bacon, obviously from making the BLTs. And so I just crumbled that up on top of the tater tots. I popped that back into the oven. It was set at whatever the temperature was to cook the tater tots. And I just baked it for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. So once that's done, I'm going to drizzle it with some of the barbecue sauce. And then I also had some of this ranch, Hidden Valley Ranch secret sauce. This is a smokehouse. I've got it on hand, so I'm going to drizzle that over. I just thought it would be yummy on this. And then finally, I chopped up some green onions and spread that over the tater tots. And here's what those loaded tachos looks like, and they were actually pretty tasty. All right, here are the plates. Nothing fancy this night, just BLTs and some loaded up tater tots, but this was yummy and hit the spot. For dinner the next night, I'd seen a couple people on Instagram make homemade hamburger helper, and that just tasted really good to me. So I decided to make that. I had this ground beef in my freezer. I just set it out earlier in the day and allowed it to thaw. I'm going to add it to a skillet and cook it until it is completely brown and there's no pink. Now, this is a lean ground beef, so I didn't have to drain it. But if you're using a fattier ground beef, you'll want to drain it. Now, I seasoned this with a little bit of salt and pepper, added some chopped onion, cooked it for about 5 minutes until the onion was tender. And at this point, I'm going to add in my seasonings. I'm going to add some garlic powder, onion powder, and smoked paprika. And I kind of loosely followed a recipe, which of course it will be linked down in the description box below. You could add whatever seasonings you would like to this. You could also add in some chopped up bell pepper, some mushrooms, whatever kind of veggies you like. Now I'm going to add in some minced garlic, or in my case, I'm using the stuff from the jar. Once I get that stirred, I'm going to cook the garlic for about 30 seconds and then add in some tomato paste. Once I've added in the tomato paste, I'm going to give that a stir and then cook that for maybe a minute or so. Next, I'm going to add in some beef broth, or in my case, I'm using some beef bouillon with water, and I'm going to give that a stir and then add in the milk. You can use, whatever kind of milk you've got on hand, whole milk, 2%. You could even do almond milk or oat milk, with this. So once I've added in the milk, I'm going to give this a stir, and then it is time to add in our pasta. Use whatever kind of pasta you like. I've got some of these little teeny tiny little shells, so I'm going to add some of that, give this a stir, and then we're going to bring this up to a boil. Once it's at a boil, we're going to reduce it to a simmer and cook this covered until your pasta is tender. How long that takes kind of just depends on the shape of your pasta. Mine ended up taking maybe about 15 minutes, but we like our pasta more on the tender side. So this is what it looked like when it was done. I did go in and stir it a couple times. Once your liquid is absorbed and your pasta is tender, you want to add in your cheese. I'm using some shredded cheddar cheese. I felt like it needed a little splash of milk, so I added that. And then once that cheese has melted, it's done. And this is what it looked like. And just like when you're making the boxed hamburger helper, I like to let it set for just a couple minutes to thicken up. And yeah, this was dinner. Quick, easy, budget friendly. You can make this using ground turkey or Italian sausage if you prefer. To go along with this, I had just a tiny little bit of broccoli that needed to be used up, so I added it to a bowl, added just a tiny splash of water, covered it in plastic wrap, and microwaved it for about 3.5 minutes until it was tender. And then I had the broccoli for Gary, and then for me, I had one of those little bitty cans of peas and carrots, and so I just popped those in the microwave, and that was our dinner. So here are the plates. We've got the hamburger helper, the veggies, and then some just plain white bread with a little bit of butter on this. Now, not even going to try to sugarcoat it. Gary did not like this at all. He took one bite and then very politely made himself a bowl of cereal. I kind of had a thought he might not love it. I've made hamburger helper, a couple different recipes, the box stuff over the years, and he's just never been a fan of it. I don't really know what it is about it. It's just, we all have things that we just don't care for, and he just doesn't love it. But I liked it. I thought it was quick and easy and budget friendly. So yeah, if you like hamburger helper, if you're looking for a quick budget friendly dinner to get on the table, I would give this recipe a try. For dinner the next night, I made the viral TikTok baked feta pasta. I've made this a couple times, but I wanted to share it again. I got this recipe from Taylor Elmore's channel. I'll link it down below. So I had the oven preheating to 400 degrees. I've got a little, this is either 8x8 or 9x9 baking dish. I'm going to add some grape tomatoes to this, and I did spray the baking dish with just a little bit of cooking spray. To the tomatoes, you're going to drizzle with this with some olive oil or avocado oil, and you do want to be kind of generous with the oil. The juice from the tomatoes, and the feta cheese is what's going to make the sauce for your pasta. So once I've added the oil, I'm going to season the tomatoes with some salt and pepper, and then we're going to add in our feta cheese block. And you just want to kind of place the tomatoes in a circle around the outside of the dish, place the feta block in the middle, and then we're going to drizzle that feta block with the olive oil. And then I decided to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I had just a little bit in this bottle that needed to be used up, so I did that. And then I'm going to add some minced garlic over the feta and tomatoes. I'm going to sprinkle that feta block with just a little bit of salt and pepper, and then add some crushed red pepper flakes. Now, you could add oregano, basil, Italian seasonings. I would have loved to have added some fresh basil to this. I just didn't have any on hand. Season it up however you like. Now, at this point, we're going to place this into the preheated oven, and you're going to bake this for about 45 minutes to an hour until your tomatoes burst and your feta is soft. Now, if you've ever had feta cheese before, you know it's like really dry and crumbly, and so you might be like, how is this going to turn into a sauce? I don't know how it works, but it does. The feta mixed with the tomato juices and the olive oil, it just melts and becomes a yummy sauce for the pasta. And as you've seen, I just take a fork and mash up the tomatoes and the feta. Some people use an immersion blender, but I find a fork works just fine. So next, you can add whatever cooked pasta you like. I have some cavatappi. I just cooked this according to the package instructions. I did take some pasta water and set it to the side. You can use that pasta water to loosen it up and make it a little more creamy if you'd like. And look at that. How this dish becomes a yummy sauce is beyond me, but it works. So give it a taste. If you feel like it needs any salt or pepper, you can adjust it, but be mindful that that feta does have quite a bit of salt in it. I had made some homemade Caesar dressing this week to have for salads and wraps for lunches, and I needed to use it up, so I decided to do a quick Caesar salad for the side. I have my recipe in the description box below for you. I've got some romaine lettuce, that dressing, some croutons, and then some shredded Parmesan cheese, and I just combined everything in a bowl with a little salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Here are the plates. So we've got some of the pasta, and I did garnish it with a little dried basil. We have the Caesar salad, and this was such a good dinner. The next day was just one of those days where I was running the whole day. And so when it came time for dinner, I did not feel like cooking anything, and I was going to leave the next day. So I had one of the errands I had to run was to run into Kroger. So I just grabbed a rotisserie chicken, one of these bagged salad kits, and some potato salad from the deli. And that's what we had for dinner that night. We just had the rotisserie chicken. I mixed up that bagged salad, and I did add a little bit of like bacon pieces that I had in my fridge to that potato salad. And it was a yummy dinner, and it was super quick and easy. So the next couple nights are going to be dinners out or yo-yo nights. You're on your own. That's just kind of where everybody fends for themselves. My mom and I took a trip up to Kentucky. If you've been with my channel for a little bit, you know my grandpa passed away almost exactly a year ago, and I hadn't been up there since he passed. And I wanted to go and like switch out the headstone flowers. So we went up there, and for dinner this first night, we went to a Mexican restaurant in town that had just opened. We started out with the chips and queso, and we got some guacamole, and of course they bring salsa to the table. And then for my entree, I got the shrimp chimichangas, and my mom got the pollo loco, and it was a tasty dinner. My chimichanga was really delicious, but the chicken on mom's pollo loco, it was so good. And she had at least half, if not more, of her dish left over. So she ended up giving it to my uncle, and he had it for dinner. And then Gary, while he was at home, he ate one of the poke bowls that I picked up from Kroger for his dinner. For dinner the next night, I was still in Kentucky. Gary had some sushi that I got from Kroger for his dinner. And then this next meal, this wasn't our dinner or supper. This was actually our lunch, but I wanted to show it because it was amazing. There's a restaurant. It's not in the town that we're from. It's a little bit a ways, but it's called The Lighthouse. And it is so good, and we absolutely wanted to be there. And they have a regular menu, but you can also do what they call family style. So they bring out sliced tomatoes and coleslaw, and it's all you can eat. So, you know, as you want something more, they'll bring it to your table. They've got lima beans, fried apples, fried catfish, fried chicken, red-eye gravy, green beans. Now, I didn't have any of the green beans. I did a substitution, which I'll show you in a minute. They've got their famous country ham, stewed potatoes, homemade biscuits, and then I did macaroni and cheese instead of the green beans. And then here is my plate. So I've got a little bit of everything, and I cannot describe how delicious this was. Nothing fancy, just simple down-home food, but cooked right, cooked well, and so good. For dinner that night, we went to a steakhouse in town. They brought us out their yeast rolls, and these rolls were fresh and hot, and they were so soft. My mom and I love a good salad bar, so we had to get their salad bar. And then for our entrees, I got the teriyaki chicken with rice and broccoli, and then my mom got their like Parmesan chicken, and we both got full on the salad bar. So I had over half of my entree left over, and my mom only took like maybe 3 bites of hers and had it left over. So we took the leftovers home with us and had them either like for lunch or dinner on subsequent days. So for the last dinner in this week's video, it was another out yo-yo night. I had driven to Kentucky, and I picked my mom up, and so when I dropped her off at home, I picked up my little brother, and he came home with us and stayed the weekend. On this particular night, he and Gary were going to like this gaming arcade thing, and so they ordered Pizza Hut. We got them the dinner box. They had a pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza, breadsticks, and wings, and like half of this they brought home, and we had it for lunch. But while they were gone, I wanted something just cheesy and comforting and easy, and so I made some tuna helper. I like to add peas to mine. I just cooked it according to the package instructions, and that was our dinner this night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, got some dinner ideas from it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.